Hello Blazers, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. How you guys doing today? Welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, guys, I wanted to make a video in a sort of little like a podcast or ramble type format. And the reason for that is because I'm gonna talk about a pretty big issue that I wanted to talk about for a very long time, and I was actually postponing talking about this because I felt like I'm gonna get backlash. But I think now it's actually time to talk about it. And I want you guys to have an open mind before we really get into this, because I feel like some people that actually are regular watchers on my channel, are fans of mine, might feel like they're being called out in this video and might feel offended by this video. And that's actually good, for good reason, because I want to have a real discussion in this video, real dialogue. So I just want you guys to have an open mind, because today we're going to be talking about people idolizing Russia and people idolizing Eastern Europe for the wrong reasons, in bad faith. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me get into this slowly. Let me give you guys some context. So, for a very long time now, it's been a very long time ago where I noticed that people in the West, a lot of the time, are idolizing Russia and Eastern Europe. So, for example, the first time I think I really noticed this is when I went on YouTube on these, like, Putin epic badass compilation videos, Putin being badass compilations, whatever. And you look at those videos, they have millions of views, and all the comments under those videos, or especially the top comments, are like, yeah, I wish we had a leader like Putin in the West. He's a real strong leader that cares about his people. We don't want this Obama. I wish we had Putin as a leader. Russia is the perfect country. And I was always just looking at this and I was like, who are these people? Why are they saying all this? And I always just thought that these people are lost and confused. They just don't know much about the real political situation here. And that is part of it as well. But a lot of people in the West genuinely think that Russia is a more free country in the sense than the West is, than America, for example, which is not true, obviously. Russia has way less freedom of speech and way less political freedom, right? So I always looked at that and I thought that these people are just lost and confused. Our brother is lost and confused. But the truth is that they're not a lot of the time. They have very specific reasons why they idolize Russia, Putin, and other Eastern European authoritarian states, like Belarus right now, for example. So let's get into this. Let's get into why I wanted to talk about this in the first place. What actually triggered me was because I released the video recently on the protests going on right now in Belarus. As you guys know, in Belarus there's currently like almost a revolution going on. There are election protests, very big protests. And I made a video about the torture that people that are arrested by the Belarusian police undergo. So the Belarusian police arrest people and starts literally torturing them. And that video got pretty good reception, but there were a lot of comments under it, a lot of comments that said stuff along the lines of, this is real police brutality right here. This is real, police being bastards. This is not that Black Lives Matter nonsense, that social justice warrior nonsense we have in the West. And so I've seen a lot of those comments, and people comparing this to America, and people saying how this is like, this shows that American police is the best, and like people in Belarus are fighting for a real cause. They're like the social justice warriors in the US that are fighting for the nonsense Black Lives Matter. Obviously, I'm a supporter of Black Lives Matter, and if you guys disagree with that, and if that made you unsubscribe from this channel, I mean, you have a problem, I think. Really though, the issue here is that people look at everything to the scope of American politics. Like, people really have zero understanding of what is actually going on. For example, I've seen people call Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, a communist, and saying that Belarus is a communist country. It's not, by the way. It's Lukashenko is practically a fascist dictator that runs a capitalist state. It's a capitalist country, just like Russia is. So, like, I've seen a lot of people say so many stuff, how, like, this is perpetrated by the CIA against the communist governments, or how the people that are protesting are like communists. It's nonsense. People literally look at everything to the scope of the American dichotomy between like the Republicans and Democrats, and they don't understand the historical context behind different countries. They don't understand that people have different lives outside of America. And just the fact that the police brutality in Belarus is a bit worse than what you have in the West, like even though it's still messed up, and I totally support the movement against police brutality in the US, just the fact that Belarus is more violent does not undermine how violent the police in the US is. You know what I mean? It's possible for two things to be true at the same time. I noticed that the kind of content that I make on YouTube, and by that I mean like videos about Russia, videos about countries of the Eastern Europe, it attracts a lot of those type people. And I don't actually inherently dislike conservatives, by the way. I think there's a lot of conservative people I know I can talk with, and they are pretty reasonable. But I have an issue with people that are so like indoctrinated to the point where they, first of all, they have zero understanding of the political compass, and also, is it really that hard to understand that there is police brutality in US? You know what I mean? So my content attracts a lot of people that are of conservative views, I would say. And the reason for, and again, I'm not talking about all conservatives, I'm talking about specifically the people that idolize Russia for the wrong reasons. Now, let me make my thesis here. What am I talking about? People like to idolize Russia because there's a large belief within the conservative space, I guess, that Putin and Russia is a country that is like basically rejecting anything like liberal in the West. So Russia is sort of this like beacon of conservative hope that is somehow like rejecting everything, that like Russians are base, they reject SJWs, Russians reject feminism, or, you know, Russians, you know, and it largely, for a lot of people, it boils down to the fact that Russia is extremely white. I mean, there's a lot of racist people out there. I don't want to tell you guys the amount of comments I get on my channel of people literally saying stuff like, yeah, Russia is nice, I respect Russia because it doesn't let a lot of immigrants in and no black people. Which is not true, by the way. Russia is not the strictest country when it comes to immigration at all. And so I'm getting a ton of these comments from people that say that Russia is like based, they don't have feminists, they don't have immigrants, they don't have black people. And I mean, when you get comments like that from people that say Russia is cool because it has zero black people, I mean, you understand what kind of person I'm dealing with here. You know, I don't need to make excuses and kind of to try and like sugarcoat it and be nice and be accepting of a person who hates black people, for example, right? And who thinks Russia is based because it has zero black people. Again, which is not true. And it's the same with like, for example, this idolization of Russian women. And this is something you see on my channel. This is something you see on Baldwin Bankrupt's channel, for example. I mean, God, the amount of comments he gets about his girlfriend, it's insane. And it's like, there's a very big thirst online for Russian women, and there is a reason for that as well. It's because the majority of the people that are thirsting for Russian women are those types of guys that come from these like conservative, if not conservative really, at this point these guys are not conservatives. These guys are like right-wing extremists, basically. And these people look at it from the scope of, oh, Russian women, not only are they beautiful, which is true, but also Russian women are always perceived as like, you know, these women that are rejecting feminism. They're not social justice warriors. They're not like these feminists in the US. I think it's largely to the point that a lot of the people who idolize Russia, Russian women, and the Russian regime, they feel like outcasts in a society, like a more progressive society that is America. Obviously, America is not fully progressive. Not everybody in America is progressive, but they feel like outcasts. They feel like the media doesn't appreciate them. They get ridiculed for their views. And so they turn to Russia and they think that Russia is somehow like a safe haven where all of their beliefs are shared by everybody. And so they look at like women in the US, and so maybe these people are like rejected by women because like they hate feminists and they just hate women, you know, misogynistic, a whole bunch of misogyny on their side. So they look to Russian women and they're like, yeah, I wish I had me a Russian woman, a real woman who hates feminism and all this cultural Marxism nonsense. I really wish I had a woman like that. Now that woman would accept me and love me. And it's very much the same with the country itself. People are like living in the West, in the UK, in the US, Canada, whatever, and they do not share like the progressive views, and they feel like outcasts in society, and maybe they get rejected by certain people because of it. And so they look to Russia and they think that if they come to Russia, suddenly they'll be surrounded by this group of people that understands them and values their every decision and values all of their values. Sorry, a little bit of a repeating myself here, but no, it's not true. That's not the way it is. I mean, I'm Russian, right? And somehow people, just because I make videos about Russia, Russian politics, Eastern Europe and stuff like that, people think that I would share their values. Like, people think that I'm this like conservative, anti-SJW type that like hates feminists or whatever, like, you know, based Russian basically, you know, the idea of the based Russian that they have. But I'm not. If anything, if I was American, probably, if I lived in the same country as you, and if I spoke about politics in America more, you would hate my guts. And probably a lot of the people who are, you know, close-minded and they can't look at their own insecurities that make them so attracted to Russia, and they think that they're going to be accepted in Russia immediately because it's like this base society. they probably already disliked this video and not subscribed from my channel or whatever, because I'm speaking facts. It's true. Like, the unhealthy obsession with Russia online is insane. And again, with Russian women, it always comes down to them being white. Why are Russian women so, like, such a beauty standard for all these, like, I don't know, for all these, like, extremist people? It's because they look at people, it's because they look at women in other countries, in like the US, for example. Not only are they feminists and like SJWs or whatever, vegans, oh my god, you know, but also a lot of them are ethnic. And people look at Russian women. I mean, look up, like, you could just Google Russian women on Google right now. It's all like white people. So that's their ideal. That's why they're so drawn to white, like Russian women, because they think everybody in Russia is white, everybody in Russia hates feminists, everybody in Russia is like conservative. That's not true. Just because you think that you'd be more accepted in Russia doesn't mean you actually will. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that it's really hard for me to deal with this, because I feel like a lot of the people that share those views actually are pretty good viewers of my channel. I mean, in the sense that they support me, they watch my videos, but at the same time, I don't stand for their beliefs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very much a social democrat, I would describe myself, I guess, in the US sort of realm of things. Like, I supported Bernie Sanders, for example. He's like my go-to candidate if I was American. And at the same time, like, it's not as one-dimensional as you guys think. Like, I hate Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden as much as any conservative does, okay? Just because I'm, like, slightly left-wing doesn't mean I'm liberal. And again, a lot of these people have, like, zero definition, zero understanding of the political, sort of the political charts, the political sides. They think that liberals and, like, socialists are left-wing. Liberals are barely left-wing. Liberals are literally right-wing. I mean, and those people don't really understand it. And I constantly get groups, in all these groups, you guys don't even know how many times I've been called online. I've been called a conservative, I've been called a socialist, I've been called a libtard, I've been called everything, but every single time, all the time, those criticisms come from the point that at, like, my channel, I'm like a CIA shield that hates on Russia just because Russia is like a safe haven for conservatives that promotes family values and is against SJWs and the feminazis. No, and just because I'm Russian, I don't have to share those ideals. And it really annoys me when, like, on a video when I make about, like, the Belarus protests, half of the comments are saying that this is real police brutality, and all the struggle that black people face in America and the police brutality in America is all a bunch of nonsense just because it's slightly less violent than that of Belarus, than what is going on in Belarus. So it's an extremely unhealthy thing. And I just wanted to talk about it for a very long time. People idolizing Russia, people idolizing Russia's politics, thinking that Russia is a more free country somehow. It's not. If anything, Russia is like your worst nightmare if you're an American. You know, Americans, especially, like, you know, these types of people I'm talking about, they constantly talk about how, like, you know, there's censorship everywhere. The SJWs are censoring the media. We can't say anything. The conservatives are being silenced. You're not. You're not being silenced. If your video got demonetized on YouTube, that's not censorship. My videos get demonetized on YouTube, and I'm not a conservative. It's just, if your video gets demonetized on YouTube, that just means it's not suitable for advertisers. And, like, freaking Coca-Cola doesn't want to run advertisements on video that talks about some extremely violent stuff. It's not censorship. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. It's literally what you pray to, okay? Like, you're such big fans of capitalism. I mean, I'm actually not like a full-on socialist or anything. I believe in the free market economy. But these things like demonetization and everything, these are issues that are... It's just capitalism. It's just that advertisers don't want to run their ads on certain, like, edgy or... I guess, controversial content. They want to run ads on family videos and pranks or vlogs or whatever, right? It's not censorship. And just because you got banned off Twitter, it's not censorship. It's a private company. So the idea, this nonsense idea, again, that people have, that somehow Russia has less censorship than the West, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. You really don't understand. I mean, you need to watch my videos more if you really think that. Because in the West, what you call censorship is getting banned off of Twitter, okay? So you might be like a fucking conservative that said some slightly racist stuff online or whatever, or I don't know, got cancelled for something. Canceling is not censorship. Canceling is just being accountable for your shitty decisions. That's what it is. And being demonetized on YouTube, being deleted off of Twitter is not censorship. Being locked up or killed for your words, being sent to jail, that is censorship. Name me at least one like political right-wing influencer in the US that got jailed for what he said. Anybody? No, not a single person. Richard Spencer, Mighty Annapolis, whatever, all these crazy far-right nuts, they got banned off of all websites, basically, but they're not in jail. In Russia, they would be in jail, okay? And probably rightfully so, to be honest, but you know what I mean? In Russia, they jail people that don't say anything as far as extreme as close to what those people say, you know what I mean? So in Russia, you're risking much more when you speak about politics in any sort of way. It doesn't even matter if you're left wing or right wing. They just lock everybody up. So thinking that Russia is somehow a more safe place for you to exist as a conservative, a lot of these people, like, they're literally like racists or homophobes. I mean, I'm just saying as it is, and I mean these words when I say this. It's not like, oh my god, racist or homophobe have no meaning now. No, I'm speaking about literal racists and homophobes. I mean, I've seen comments like this. Once again, I'm getting tons of comments of people saying, oh, Russia is cool because they understand family values and they don't promote gay people. Or Russia is cool because they don't have immigrants or black people. I get these comments. I get a lot of them. And so don't try to tell me that racists and homophobes don't idolize Russia, because they do. So if you think that as a racist or homophobe you will have a safer life and a better life and everybody will appreciate your values in Russia, you're delusional. Okay? So stop idolizing Russia, stop idolizing Eastern Europe, recognize the actual problems in these countries. Don't think of them as like some sort of place you could move and a place that you could, whose like terrible regressive policies you can support, and somehow that would like make you a winner in the grand politics scheme of things. It won't. It's nothing. Like, if you support these regimes, you're not doing anything good for freedom. You're not a freedom warrior. If you support a authoritarian regime like Belarus, for example, you're not. You're an idiot. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. Stop idolizing Russia or Belarus or Ukraine or whatever. These are not your safe spaces, and the people that live in these countries have as much different politics. There's people of all different walks of life. There's people that are left-wing, communist, socialist. There's people that are Nazis, right-wingers, centrists. Everybody. Russia has everybody, just like America. It's not like everybody here is a conservative that hates feminists. So yeah, stop idolizing Russia, and I guess, I don't know, stop leaving dumbass comments like undermining Black Lives Matter just because the protests in Belarus are violence as well, or more violence. That's not how it works. So yeah, I mean, just think about, do some education, just think about what you post more, and do more research and actually understand whether the countries that you praise as like free and based and conservative are actually that conservative or that free. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I want you guys to hear your opinion. I want to hear your opinions, guys, in the comments down below. And yeah, hopefully that this video did not trigger you, did not make you unsubscribe. If it did, you know, so much for the tolerant right that doesn't get triggered. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.